My guests today, Mike Sullivan, 97.1 The Ticket, and Max Bultman from The Athletic. We're talking Pistons, we're talking Red Wings, we're talking NFL Draft Combine, and much more. This is the 7 Sports Cave. As I mentioned, here they are, Max and Mike. Gentlemen, welcome to the Cave. Episode 250.
That's great. Hey, congrats to you guys and all the staff at Channel 7 for that. That's awesome.
I mean, I can't believe it. When the number comes up, you're like, 250? Like, how long have I been here? How long has this show been going? But, all right, here we go. And to 250 more.
You get to share it with Hooper's birthday. So it's a
oh,
nice
coinciding of just two magical things.
You need to do like a best of at some point. Maybe
we should do a best of.
Best moments of in 250.
Oh, okay. Well, you know? Mike, our producer, Mike Foss, take a note of that. We'll try to go comb through
I didn't mean to give some extra work for Mike
250 Foss. Episodes worth. You have to watch them all in their entirety and find the best little clips or whatever. Anyways, lots to talk about on the show today. Look, Michigan State, a week from yesterday. Now we know that Michigan won today and Michigan State lost yesterday, so there's a lot to talk about with that matchup. The Combine is going on. We got a lot of local ties to that, obviously. Rashawn Gary is apparently the best player both offensively and defensively in the draft, according to Rashawn Gary. We'll talk about that a little bit, but we got to talk about the Pistons.
Yes.
Hooper's birthday. He's going home a happy birthday, pony, because they got a great win today over Toronto without Kawhi Leonard, so there is an asterisk there. But I said it to you when we were looking at the highlights earlier. Are you buying into this Pistons team at all? Because they've won 9 of their last 11. They're playing a really exciting brand of basketball lately. But we kind of know the finality of this thing maybe towards the end. Are you at least enjoying the moment?
They're going to make the playoffs. They're going. I mean, if you look at any metric right now, they have somewhere around a 90% chance of making the playoffs. Do I think that necessarily means much? No, because technically the majority of the league, 16 teams, make the playoffs in the NBA.
Right.
I don't think the Pistons really have much opportunity to make noise in the playoffs.
But you're basing that on what you've seen so far. And look, we've all seen what this team kind of is. But the caveat is they've been playing a much different brand of basketball over the last 11 games. The proof is in the pudding. Like, the way that they've been attacking with a tenacity and a ferociousness that you kind of thought this team lacked. And all of a sudden, you got 5 guys playing like Blake Griffin played for the first half of the season. Now you got all 5 of them playing like that. I mean, Max, it is at least, I agree to a certain extent, they're not going to probably make the Eastern Conference Finals. But that being said, that doesn't mean they can't continue to get better, improve their seed, and maybe get into the second round. And that's a roll of the dice at that point. You're making yourself, giving yourself a chance, I should say.
Yeah, and it's certainly fair to be excited about the run they've had the last couple of weeks, but I just think it's not a single elimination playoff series. And just when you look at the landscape of the Eastern Conference, just about any team that they're matched up against has a superstar, and so Blake Griffin's a superstar in his own right, but a superstar that is surrounded by the kind of core that is going to win 4 games out of 7 tries.
And there's no doubt in that. I don't know. I had an epiphany, I think it was, maybe a week and a half ago, right after the All-Star break. They'd won 3 straight or whatever, and I said, you know what, let's enjoy the ride, because we know what Detroit sports scene is across the board here. We got the Tigers coming up in a month, and you know the NCAA tournament is going to be the greatest thing that anyone's going to see around here for a significant amount of time until potentially the Lions make the playoffs next year. So it's like we don't have a lot to cheer for.
When you look at 2003 to 2008, it's a team that went to 6 straight. Think about that, 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals. You just couldn't beat the production and how good they were, the sellouts, people interested, whatever. Since then, a whole decade plus later, they haven't so much as, since 2009, won a single playoff game.
Right.
Not even talking about a series. They haven't won a single playoff game. So for a franchise and for the fans in the city, to see the drop-off from going from 6 straight Eastern Conference Finals to a whole decade plus of not even winning a single playoff game, you just don't really see that in sports a lot. So believe me, I'd love for this team to be legit and for this team to be good. I don't think they have a true chance to win a title, but I'd love for them to actually rebuild the right way and be back to a Eastern Conference championship type team.
What I'm excited to see, though, and because we haven't seen it yet, is a packed playoff crowd at Little Caesars Arena. That place
either
oh my gosh, the acoustics of that place, if they can fill it up and get the bodies in there, That is going to be a really good atmosphere.
I think they would. I don't think there's a doubt that if the Pistons made the playoffs, that those tickets would be, hot commodities. Today was Hooper's birthday, though, and it was a playoff atmosphere, according to Fox Sports Detroit on their telecast after the win. So, look, the people were there for the autographs from all of his furry friends.
Of course.
I mean, it's simple, guys. You go down there, you meet Hooper, you have a good time. So, let's move on to the other team that plays at Little Caesars Arena, the team that Max covers for The Athletic. If you aren't reading his stuff or any of the other great writers there, you're really missing out on really kind of having a total grasp of the fandom and everything that goes on with your teams. So, well, that was a pretty good shine job.
Yeah,
so,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you paying him for that later?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have to pay for my own subscription, too. So, but here's the deal. The Red Wings, we know what they are now. They are plummeting to the bottom of the East. Lose for Hughes is full in effect. The trade deadline come and gone. What did you think that they did well in the trade deadline, and what did maybe they miss on?
Well, it was kind of an interesting trade deadline because at first it looked like they got all these expiring contracts, all these pieces to move, and then it was, well, maybe they want to re-sign all these guys. Maybe it's going to be really quiet. And in the end, what happened was I think what most people kind of thought, which is they moved out Nick Jensen and Gustav Nyquist, and they got a fair return, I would say. Yeah. A couple second-round picks with a third that can become a second, depending on how the San Jose Sharks do. So a lot of Red Wings fans are now going to be Sharks fans.
Right.
But what I think is most interesting is that you've seen how the team has changed since. With Nick Jensen gone from that blue line, the defense has been really tough to watch these last few games. I don't know if people necessarily appreciated Nick Jensen to the full extent while he was here, but his absence has been noticeable.
Well, you took a thin D-line group, a blue line group that was thin as it was, and you took one of your better, younger pieces and said, we're going to move you on. So I'm wondering, how likely are they to be the last team in the NHL with the most opportunity to get the #1 pick?
I don't think anyone's catching Ottawa in that race.
Really?
Ottawa, they have a little bit of an advantage coming in, and for whatever the Red Wings took out, the Senators took out one of the best players in the NHL, Mark Stone.
Yeah.
They took out a first-line center in Matt Duchene and another middle six player in Ryan Dzingel, and they took all those guys out. I believe they were their top 3 scorers. So they have a leg up and all the fuel you could ever want for the tank machine.
Christopher Illich made some comments to some Tigers beat writers down in Lakeland over the weekend, and he basically was asked about Steve Yzerman. And he did say that he had not talked or requested permission from the Tampa Bay Lightning to talk to Yzerman, but he also said, I do know that his contract expires this summer. Max, people want to know. Break the news right here.
Well, believe me, I would love to, but Chris Illich said, there's no news there. But I think it is a little bit of a nod that he says he's aware that it's up this summer.
Right.
Everyone obviously would love to put a magnifying glass up to that and decode it, but I think that's about as close to a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge as I've heard out of anyone in the Tigers organization.
I'm never going to sit here and rip the Red Wings for what they're doing right now. They're rebuilding. They're clearly trying to get better. They're clearly establishing a direction. And you mentioned the trade deadline. You know what? They go out and get a couple of draft picks that are, for all intents and purposes, they're going to get a couple of top 50 prospects out of those. So, I think that they're doing the right thing. I think that this season has been encouraging for Red Wings fans, for Detroit sports fans, from the standpoint of, I think that you can see and you can sense the promise and the potential in this young core. And if they can just continue to build that, continue to build through the draft and stuff like that, this is just going to continue. I think by far the Red Wings are the closest team to a championship in Detroit right now. I think the Red Wings are a couple years away from really competing at a high level once again. I do.
What I think Mike touched on there that's really accurate is I don't think any fan can look at the Red Wings anymore and question Ken Holland's commitment to the rebuild, because he's proven now a few times here that he has been willing to stick to the guns and have the patience that a good, proper rebuild takes. I think that sort of maybe, as much as I think fans are very intrigued by the possibility of Yzerman, it maybe has lessened a little bit of the ammo there against Holland from them, because he has shown that he'll do what it takes.
How many games do they have left? Like 20?
I think 15.
15 games left. Get your tickets while you can. Watch the young guys. I do like the effort, except for the 8-1 loss.
17. 82 games.
2, 3, 4. Math is hard. I was told there was no math involved.
Yeah.
Get your tickets, though. Go check them out. I do like the effort, to your point. I think it's been fun to watch this team, except for that 8-1 loss to Montreal the other night.
The only math we're talking about today is 250, right? 250th episode.
Look at this guy. Love him. Bringing him on the show. All right, guys, NFL Combine coming up. How many bench presses you guys got? 225. That's how many you got to do.
I could put up a couple, I'm sure. No, that's so tough to do.
Come on, you could get a couple. 3, 4?
Yeah, 225, that's pretty tough, man. I'm not in the
Get DK Metcalf to spot me. I'll get a couple.
Now that's a
question.
good
Is what could you do? I know you're in the gym almost every day.
I could probably get 12.
Could you?
I'm being honest.
I feel like you've had that number in your head.
Tooting my horn a little bit there. All right, we will go over what went down at the Combine coming up next on the 7 Sports Cave. Use the hashtag 7 Sports Cave. I'll get to your tweets later on in the show. Stay with us.